Hi, everybody. It is Raven here in St. John's, Newfoundland, and got a little bit of a red pill rant for you because I'm a little bit kerfuffled this day, and rightfully so. Deep breath. We talk a lot about what's happened over the last 3 years and what it means to be Canadian and what a free country looks like. A free country is respectful of all dynamics of people, all diversities of people, and it respects family. Canada was built on family. Family meaning a mother, a father, and children. You know, in Newfoundland, I'm in the epiphany of um, corruption. Um, I'm in the epiphany of ignorance, and I'm in the epiphany of what many members of my freedom movement across the country would call liberal hell. So today, there was a protest, which wasn't mine, that was positioned to be at the Confederation building. And, it's not standing, their intention was never to stand against the LGBTQ community and say that they're not entitled to a safe and inclusive environment, okay? Nobody on this island and nobody in this country has called for violence against anybody. What we're saying is that we do not want things taught in our children's school that are not age appropriate. We do not want children in our school like what just happened at St. Matthew's School, where children, grade 7 and below are being taught that they can transition. Do you know that the Criminal Code of Canada has a law against genital mutilation? Yeah, transitioning is another name for genital mutilation. Look it up. It'll explain to you that it is painful and it causes harm. But in Canada, we call that healthcare, right? We're calling that healthcare, and we're promoting that to our children. You know, um, Today, what happened was absolutely disgusting on behalf of our provincial government. Our provincial government today was paid opposition. So let me be clear as to why all of this started. I I created a project called Project Indigo. There are many gay and lesbian people in our province and in our country that see what's happening in our school systems. They've seen it for a long time. It's got nothing to do with keeping children safe. It's got everything to do with keeping children safe from our government, not the lesbian and gay community. It's the toxic shit that's coming down in schools. And I'm sorry, I told the churches I wouldn't swear. You're going to have to forgive me for a minute because I'm pretty passionate about what's happening with our children. There's a reason that there's a man and a woman. There's a reason that God created a man and a woman, or whatever religious belief you believe, or even if we came from rocks and dirt, there's a reason and a role to play in humanity that there is a man and a woman. Programming our children to believe that that is not a critical role in the survival of humanity is wrong. It's immoral and it's unethical. And parents here are not saying that we don't want people to love or do whatever it is that they want to do. What we're saying is that our children have a right to grow up in an environment where they're not having sexuality pushed down their throat. They're not being sent home with these little flip books of gay sex. Yes, that is happening. You can get them. I posted it on my Facebook before. Our children are being given that in school. Criminal Code of Canada says 171.1, you are not allowed to give children under the age of 16 pornographic material. That is happening in school. Genderqueer, which is a book that's in many, many schools, graphically depicts sexual activities. And I don't care if it's straight sex or gay sex or any type of sex. Children that are that young do not need to see that, and it's upsetting as a parent to see that. Like we all talk about everything that's happened in the last couple of years, and many of you are aware of what's happening with government, what's happening with around these vaccines and how they were forced, and don't get on the airplane with those people. What's happening right now is don't support the family unit. That's what this is about. I watched a short video a few minutes ago of what was happening at the Confederation building, and if I had been off I would have went, but you know what, they're not the ones that are afraid. It's the people like me that are standing up against the system. I don't have mob mentality. I've never said anything bad to a lesbian or gay person in my entire life. One of my best friends that's working on Project Indigo with me is a gay man who sees what's happening, and they're out there and they're like, oh, we're here to stand up for lesbian and gay inclusivity, my ass. Nobody has said that nobody should be included or people shouldn't be accepted or somebody can't have two mommies or two daddies or two or whatever. That should be openly accepted in schools, no problem. Don't cancel Mother's Day. Include the person who plays a role in a child's life as a mother, as mother. The same way with fathers. But how are all you fathers going to feel this year when nothing comes home from school from your children? It makes no sense to me. So this all started a couple of days ago. I launched a project called Project Indigo, which was to unify this country and the lesbian and gay community, or whoever that sees what's happening in the school system, to stand up and say, we support each other, because there are many lesbian and gay men out there that are watching what's happening that don't think that this is right either. So the LTA, sexual diversity president, which I'm sure is a new role for him because it's SOGI 123, which is United Nations program, who got asked and kicked out of Fogo Island. Not kicked out, I can't say kicked out. He resigned, but they were pressuring the school board to have him resign because of the content that was being pushed in that school. So we end up with him as a provincial position in the NLTA. So what he did was he took my program, automatically put it on his Twitter, and labeled it hate speech. How is it hate speech that I'm trying to unite the lesbian and gay community with parents so that we can have a conversation over a middle ground as to what is healthy for families? Because if we don't have families and we don't have men and women having babies, then it's over, right? So anyway, he tweeted that it was hateful. Somebody in that news feed went on and they posted that we send our children to school for an education, ABCDs 1 2 3. What do I want to be when I would grow up? A police officer. Not what do I want to be when I grow up? A unicorn or some type of member of the alphabet. You're going to be able to figure that out all by yourself. Nobody told me who I should be with or who I shouldn't be with, and nobody even asked the question as if I'm totally straight. They just assume that I'm the enemy, right? And so this parent posted this little bit of information there saying, I think that we need to focus on education. And this NLTA president came out and said, here's a news flash for you. It's never been about education. It's about a deep political and cultural agenda to cultivate the future. So he openly admitted that it was indoctrination. And me being the person that I am, I took that and I ran with it. I put it on Twitter. I put it on Facebook. I put it on Instagram. I put it on TikTok. I was like, there you go. Canada wants to know what's happening and why this problem that we're having and this uprise and this violence between different demographics of the population. It's because our school system is positioning us to be at war with each other. I got a message 5 minutes ago before I came down here to have this rant from a mom who said that she's losing her 14-year-old daughter who's on antidepressants, who doesn't know what sex she is, and is attempting to commit suicide. Please tell me that in our generation, meaning, us, 40 plus year olds, had to deal with the amount of toxicity that's happening to our children. There is nothing safe and inclusive about schools. There's more violence, there's more depression, there's more everything happening in the schools. And it all starts with the breakdown of the family unit and the lack of respect for family and for each other. So as soon as I started starting to chip away at this, president of the NLTA, immediately NAPE came out and said, I support gay people. The NLT came out and said, I support gay people. The Newfoundland Teachers Association came out and they support gay people. And then the Human Rights Commission came out and said they support people. Where were all these people in support of you when they were forcing an experimental vaccine on all of the people in this province and in this country? They weren't responding. Not my circus, not my monkey. But in less than 24 hours, when I flush a groomer out, in the Newfoundland English District school system, and I can say that because I've got Fogo Island behind me and countless messages. They weaponize the government body to be paid opposition. They all get time off work. They all march down to the Confederation building, put off this big media propaganda where NTV and CBC and VOCM and them were all hanging out to make it look like us parents that are trying to protect our children from the school system want to hurt and cause harm to the LGBTQ community, which couldn't be more false. It is very false. And I would have walked up there myself and had this conversation with them, except for I'm getting like threats from 17-year-olds in high school. And it's not right. It's not right at all. It is not right for the provincial government of Newfoundland to cover up what just happened and to spin it the way that they did through media. It is not okay that everybody up on Confederation building were people that were being paid to be at work, to oversee our schools and to oversee our human rights. That's paid opposition. There's Antifa, which is paid opposition. And in Newfoundland, Canada, they just weaponize the provincial and federal government to utilize their bodies to stand against us. And what they did when we were going through this pandemic where there was no massive amount of people dying, people weren't falling over in the streets like tea kettles. And now the nefarious agenda is all starting to become force and out in the front of everything. People know now what the government is doing, but yet we still have so many people in this province and so many people on this island that are there with their eyes wide shut. You know, their eyes are wide shut because they want to be included, or they're afraid their husband's going to get mad, or they're afraid to say something because they don't want anybody to be upset. Well, I'm here to tell you, you guys need to be upset. Everybody needs to be upset. The lesbian and gay community needs to be upset because their identity's been hijacked and they're hiding groomers inside of the LGBTQ community. And if anybody says anything about it, they weaponize the government and the media to spin it into something totally that it's not. You parents out there should be upset. You know, like nothing's going to confuse children anymore than trying to pick one gender out of the whole freaking alphabet. It's the removal of our identity. It's the removal of our gender. It's an attack on humanity, no different than something that comes at the end of the needle that has affected people. It's the same organization. It's the same push down. It's the same program. It's all coming from the United Nations. It's all coming from this one world government. And in 5 minutes, we're going to be locked down in 15-minute cities. And somebody's going to think it's a good idea because they can get a cappuccino on the next corner. You know, whatever. Jump into a 15-minute city you want. But I absolutely 100% am going to die on this hill for the children because I have children and they are entitled to have an education where they can grow up and be whatever they want to be, whether that's gay or straight. I don't even know. My kids could be gay or straight. Am I going to support them if they are gay or straight? Absolutely. And as parents, we have a right to do that. In New Brunswick, over New Brunswick last weekend, they removed all the books from school. They removed all of the use of pronouns in school. They removed the ability for anybody to talk about gender in their school that's not a medical professional. Why? Because they know it's wrong. And in Newfoundland, we've got the government weaponizing the people that are on the payroll. It is absolutely insane. So, you know, at the end of the day, I have this project that I'm still trying to gonna push forward to unify people. Um, I I had a screenshot sent to me. Somebody just posted, and here, Scott Greeley, I have a voice recording of you threatening a 17-year-old because she's transgender. That's not what happened. I've got screenshots of a 17-year-old when my son went to PWC, and he's a Christian boy. He's a good boy. He's a straight A student. And in that school, they allowed a young man to identify as Lucifer. Okay. This is how twisted. I'm going to tell you the story. Thanks, Scott, for bringing it up. I really appreciate it. So they allowed him to identify as Lucifer. So when my son refused to call him Lucifer, all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose because, you know, who is he to say that this guy can't identify as Lucifer? I walked into the school. There was this person that came up to me who identifies as transgender. I went in to talk to the principal. he or she, walked up to me right in my face and said, "You effing bitch, what are you doing back here?" I went into the office and I said, "What kind of school are you running to have somebody say that to an adult that's coming into this school?" And she was suspended. She was suspended. And then, not only that, right? Um, the principal went on to tell me that he had to actually call this child Lucifer. I got messages calling them. They were taunting me because I got deplatformed for talking about it. They were taunting me behind the scenes. They tried to say that they were victimized. They tried to say that I was trying to dox this Lucifer kid. Blah 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 blah. But this Lucifer kid actually got either left the school or whatever because he was all over Ukrainian children. He was terrorizing Ukrainian children, is what I was told. Don't know for sure. Um, and then when I started this unity stuff, I got a message from this person that told me off, this 17-year-old boy, male, bigger than myself. I got a message from him saying, "Hey, I want to go on a podcast with you. I'd like to shed some light." So, me being the naive, nice mom that I am, I sent back a message. I said, "Well, that'd be awesome because my whole point here is in unifying. I can provide all the screenshots in unifying." And then a friend of mine went on the NLESDA Facebook page, and this same person that attacked me in the school said that they had a plan for me. They had a plan for me. So what does that mean? I was attacked when I went into the school by a transgender child, and now this transgender child is messaging me on Twitter saying, "Oh, hey, I'm trying to be a really, really good person, and I'm trying to be a really good person, and I want to help you." But meanwhile, this person is trying to get me out in public somewhere where they can hurt me, or whatever. I'll share the screenshots when I get a minute after this. I'll pop it up on Facebook for you. And Scott Greeley, I know who you are. His son was the best friend of Lucifer. That's why he's on here attacking me. And his son was the one that got involved in that hatchet situation. I'm all about full transparency. I don't know why these people want to continue to attack me because I'm going to keep speaking the truth. That is exactly what's happening. My straight son got attacked in school by Lucifer. Then he gets kicked out of school for attacking a Ukrainian kid, but doesn't get kicked out of school, or not kicked out, but he was asked to leave or whatever happened there. But it happened with the Ukrainian kid. And then never got, my child never got, you know, taken care of by the system. I even had to force them to get me to let him go in another school. Why? Because my son said to me, he's like, "You know what, Mom?" He's like, "These are not the type of people that's going to rough you up. These are the type of people that are going to stab you. These are the type of people that are actually going to physically harm you or harm me." So I removed him from the school. Yeah, and the principal told me that he didn't want to have his job either. He didn't like to have his job. He doesn't want to deal with that either. He doesn't want to pay the gender politics. Tony Stack left from the English District School Board. Minister Haggie's trying to jump ship. They exactly know what's happening. And they just completely prove themselves by allowing all of these people to show up at Confederation Building that is on the government payroll, that is supposed to be protecting your rights, which they don't do, that are supposed to be cultivating your children's education, and they're not. All parents want to do is have this garbage removed from school. That is it. They can do their safe and inclusion. They can talk about sexual education and teach them how their body parts work. They can say you may grow up and you may prefer to have intimate relationships with same sexes. That is fine. It is the rest of it. So, anyway, controlled opposition is real. And, I am calling out right now with my Indigo project. I'm calling the churches out because you guys are sitting silently by while this is happening. Um, I'm calling out the Muslim communities. I'm calling out the Sikh communities. I'm calling out all the parents out there to get on board with this because I'm telling you what, right now, um, our children are in trouble big time, and you can see it. You can see the deterioration in our youth. All you got to do is take a walk down Water Street. It's all graffiti. It's a mess. Our province is a mess. BC is a mess. It's all a mess, and it's all a mess by a government in Newfoundland that the only thing they only want to talk about is how they attended a game. Nobody wants to talk about the children that have been harmed by these vaccines here. Nobody wants to talk about that. I know multiple people that have lost their children on this island, and this is the government that people are getting behind. I can't get NTV to talk to me, I can't get CBC to talk to me, I can't get an appointment with anybody to talk to anybody. And essentially I'm being labeled in all of these media since day one as being the bad guy. I wasn't wrong about these vaccines, I'm not wrong about what's happening with the children. People don't want to talk, don't want to listen to what I'm having to say. Find me something that I was wrong on. The only thing that I was wrong on since this whole beginning of this whole entire thing was that I thought there was going to be a diesel shortage. That's the only thing that I got wrong. So, I'm very frustrated. I'm frustrated that I feel like I'm out here by myself because it seems like everybody else is afraid to talk about it. But when I get off this now, I'm probably going to have like 400, messages of stories about what's happening with people's children. I have a message from somebody that kept their kids out of school because they were at school and somebody was trying to put something up their child's rectum. Where are they getting this from? They're not getting this from home, you know? They're not getting this from home. So it's time for the churches to step up. When we do indigo, I expect every single parent that does not agree with this to stand up. They're allocating $75,000 for gender reassignments. I encourage you to look up what gender mutilation is in the criminal code and tell me how that differs from gender reassignment for our children. It's not. If you were a Muslim male, man or woman that came here, or one of those cultures that believe that that's what they should do, they would be locked up and thrown in jail. But our school system are teaching it at St. Matthew's School as going to be part of their transitioning into their new genders. I put out the slideshow. You can find it on my Facebook page. I've done it all. I have to now go and see if I can find some funding for security because, I've got 17-year-olds that are, told, you can see in the slideshow, they're told to advocate, they're told to stand up, they're told to fight back. Meanwhile, they're telling, heterosexual males masculinity is toxic. You wonder why, when you watch all these videos across the country, the transgender community is like screaming and shouting and can't have a conversation and assaulting people. Everybody I know, Josh Alexander is a really, really good friend of mine, and he's been attacked 100%. Do you know why he was attacked? Because he said that he didn't think boys belonged in girls' washrooms. There's sexual assaults happening in washrooms. And I can tell you that it happens with transgender people. And let me tell you a story about Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. So I was married to a mental health nurse from Louisville, Kentucky. They don't know where to put the transgender people. Why? Because if they put them in one place, they put this one transgender person in one place and they said he identified as something else. They put him over on the other side. He sexually assaulted somebody. And they put him on the other side and they sexually assaulted somebody. We don't have any hope for keeping our children safe. We are removing everything that keeps them safe. And in New Brunswick, they're fighting back. And in Newfoundland, all I get is I'm afraid. I don't want to talk about it. You're a homophobe. I'm not a homophobe. The person that is running this project with me is a gay man. We have celebrities like Mina Capote, who is a transgender person who lives in New York City, who is a world-traveled transgender person who says that if you need to dance in front of children, then you're a groomer. But yet all of these parents will get together and they'll buy their flags and they'll go out and they'll be like, rah, rah, rah. What 2-year-old says, I enjoy a drag show? They don't. The parents are grooming their children. Why? Maybe they hate men. Maybe they had a bad experience. Maybe they're lesbian, but maybe their children isn't lesbian. That should never be allowed either. And people wonder why they're protesting the drag shows. We're not protesting drag shows because we don't want transgender people or drag people to exist. They're protesting drag shows because we want to preserve the innocence of our children. In Ottawa, the Muslim community came together, the Christian community came together, and that's what needs to happen in this province, and that's what needs to happen with Project Indigo straight across this country. It's happening July 9th. It's important that we build this movement throughout the summer because by the time we get back to school, it's going to be the next level because we're going to have Pride season. Did you guys know that our country wants to make Pride season? They want to make from May till October Pride season. Pride season. And it's an anti-Christian movement. At one of the assemblies that was a pop-up at Prince of Wales Collegiate, they had a drag queen or a transgender person come in, and they openly said that Christ is bad because he doesn't support the transgender people. There's countless videos that are all over the internet that says, people making a joke out of it. It's like, who doesn't love Jesus? Who doesn't love a man that can get nailed and come back for more? This is the messaging. I've shared countless amounts of clips about it. I don't think it's right. I don't care who hates me for my message, because I know that in my heart that I am coming from a place of love for our children. I'm coming from a place of love for the family unit. And I'm also trying to let the LGBTQ community know that it's got nothing to do with how you live and everything to do with the educational system. The veterans in our country are being treated like garbage. They can't get access to support. They're being offered MAID. They're being offered the ability to put themselves down as opposed to getting any of the support that they need. Veterans Day, they get 1 day a year. They fought for your freedoms, and they fought for the LGBTQ. They fought for everybody to be able to live in a country that is free. But if you don't see that our freedoms as parents are being stripped, our freedom to move is being stripped, our freedom to our bodily autonomy is being stripped, our freedom to earn a living, to be able to provide for our children is being stripped. If you do not see what's happening now, you are stupid, because everything is out there. All you have to do is a little reading. And I'm really good at fielding the hate. Why? Because I know I'm right, and I know I'm on the right side. And I'm going to face my creator. You should face your creator, whoever that is. And you don't get to say, oh, well, you know what? I was very obedient. We're not put here to live a dystopian, perfect life. We're here to fulfill whatever it is that we are supposed to learn. And we are supposed to struggle, and we are supposed to overcome, and we are supposed to rise above and do what's right for humanity. So if somebody thinks that I'm not doing something right, I don't personally care, because you're not my judge. You're not the person that's going to judge me at the end of the day. I'm accountable to my children. I'm accountable to my family, and I'm accountable to the people that I respect. And anybody in the English District School Board or any school board across this country that is subjecting our children to the sexualized material that St. Matthew's School is subjected to and is doing it for a paycheck, you should be ashamed of yourself. And those people that stood up today at the Confederation building that thought that they were going to meet a bunch of concerned parents about what's happening in school, and they took to the streets to protest like a high-paid mafia, then you should be ashamed of yourself too. And that's my rant. Oh, and by the way, the rainbow isn't 6 colors, it's 7. 7 is the color. 7, the color that they took out is indigo. Indigo represents knowledge, power, and integrity. So that's how I'm rolling. I'm going to try to educate. I'm going to try to inspire. And I am going to try to build a force across this country of parents, lesbian, gay community, and everybody that wants a better future, because we all see where this is going. And, protecting your paycheck's really not going to matter, because once the CBDC rolls in and they keep jacking up the interest rates and all this stuff is going to happen, you're going to own nothing and be happy about it anyway, because that's the whole entire plan. So you're going to sacrifice your family. You're going to sacrifice your children. You're going to sacrifice your soul for $1. I would rather live in the middle of the woods with somebody that can hunt bunny rabbits and have my own storage of books than sacrifice everything it is that makes me human and that allows me to look at myself in the mirror every day and face the evil shit that I face every day and know that I did it for the right reasons. Because this lifetime is very short, and all we have is what we make of ourselves. And I am completely, deeply disgusted in humanity. I'm a 25-year veteran humanitarian. I've got awards. The last award I got was from CFL in Kubota, Canada, for being the one person that they recognized in this country as being somebody that wasn't paid for, that stood up for the amount of time that I did. And I've been villainized, and I've been victimized, and I've been told, oh, what a sin that you're doing this right now, because, you're ruining your reputation. Nothing I've done has been about my reputation. My business is in shambles because I'm standing up for people. I didn't bow down. I I am not bending. I will be this person right now as I am until I hit the dirt. And you know, I guess that, if it's me that stands by myself, there was other people that were persecuted in this life for the sins of everybody else. And if that's how I have to go down, I'll do that with respect and integrity for myself. Because if what's coming, and if this continues going on with our children and with our governments and with this pandemic response and stuff, nobody's going to want to be here anyway. You're all going to want to be gone. So anyway, that's my rant. Thank you for listening. To the haters, hey Sandy Bennett, you pathetic lady, you lost today with your gate and why you're upset. He never wins. You know what, Sandy? I pray for you that you find love in your heart and acceptance for all people. And maybe I'll get the church or somebody to pray for you, because if you can't see what's happening now, then you're lost. Take care, folks. Peace out. Love you all. Bye.